3.
And I jog in.
Walk on live. It's not yet.
Molana, be here 5 seconds.
Yes.
Kid it.
Okay.
Madid Kerel, Loy Long Tuida is rolling 10 we are locking in.
Okay, let me click it. Go live.
Bob and Jagat, you over father.
Okay, I got it, Paul.
Okay.
Why is it Gerald click?
Child expired, I think.
I cannot live quite here.
It's your boy Young.
What a line.
It's your boy Young. I give him that time. Pancho leg stand and punchy America. Banyi doll, Pancho leg stand and punchy America. Banyi doll, ban walk on your leg. Kankara water no watching. Oga level leg gear, wow, very leg. Panda with ya, punchy America. Banyi doll, no. Chingatonga pandon could you ever buy a check out? Patu panda gear, what ya be doll venting. Stand and punchy America, Banyi doll, Pancho leg stand and punchy America, Banyi doll, walk on your leg, Kankara water no watching, Oga level leg, gear, wow, very leg, Panda with ya, punchy America, Banyi doll, Chingatonga pandon, could you ever buy a check out, Patu panda gear, what ya be, doll venting.
Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in. Welcome to Lagos State Media today, part 2 with Molana, Honorable Ateny Wek Ateny is back the studio today. Welcome all on board, and please share this video as much as you can. In the studio, along with me, my brother, Bolmakur Achen, and I have Abraham Madin Majab, and Majog Makur Malak, and Honorable Molana Ateny Wek. Please welcome on board Bolmakur. The floor is yours first to give your remarks.
Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate your welcoming. Our audience, I appreciate you also for joining us. Today we are with former Press Secretary, Mr. Ateny Wek, and he is here to make many remarks. He will also talk about his journey in J1. So I will leave it from here. I will give it back to Isaac to welcome some other members of the state media. Thank you.
Thank you, Bol Makur. We go straight to Abraham Madin Majak. Your opening remark, please.
Thank you, Ben Isaac. I would like to say welcome to our guest today, Mr. Ateny Wek. Welcome to the State Media again for second time. We are glad to have you on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Abraham. Going straight to SG, Secretary General of Lagos State Media, Majong Makur Malak. Unmute yourself, unmute.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Isaac Tiang and the team, Lagos State Media. To our viewers, thank you so much. And ours is a reminder, keep cheering as we have our guest in the studio, Honorable Ateny Wek Ateny. Yesterday, our interview was short, but it was meaningful despite the circumstances that forces us yesterday to adjourn it. And we thank Honorable for making it today to complete his conversation and so answered actually some of the questions being posed yesterday by many South Sudanese who were watching in different platforms, both on YouTube, Facebook, and Clubhouse. Kindly, let's pay attention, and you are entitled to pose any question later on at the comment section. Thank you so much. I yield it back to Chairman Isaac.
Thank you so much, Majok Makur. We just give you a first shot, Honorable Molana Ateny Wek, to give your first remark before we start giving you our first question.
First of all, I would like to thank Lagos State Media once more for having accepted to reschedule part 2 of my interview, which was extremely, interrupted yesterday. As all of us know, technology is not an easy thing. You cannot jam it, and you cannot, twist around it. Unless you are on the right track, technology is a problem. We were fearing yesterday the voice was not right, and we did impossible yesterday and made sure that whatever little information we gave the public yesterday and how blurry it was, we beg pardons of those who were listening yesterday, and give themselves time. I asked them to give themselves time today to listen to the second part. First of all, I don't know whether I should repeat some of what I said yesterday, but the time is short. I would like to start from where I actually, stopped yesterday. By stopping there, I said I am not coming to respond to the interview of my nephew, Galring Machar, nor did I come here to defend myself. The office of the president is the largest and the highest office in the land. Having privilege to have worked there is a privilege of lifetime. The failures and the success are there for the public to judge. I'm not here to be a judge of my own case. The legacy that I left in the media department in the office of the president is there to be checked, even in the generation to come. I'm not going to compare myself to anybody, but I'm going to share with you the challenges that might have faced me, which may not be necessarily facing my successor. But if my successor have time to listen into my interviews on social media, particularly after she has taken the office over the office without me handing over the office to her. If she listens to this interview, she will be able to find which one is useful for her and which one will not be useful for her. Office of the president, particularly the press unit, has two departments, and that two departments are English and Arabic. As people of South Sudan have less than 30% of literacy, about 60 or 70% can speak colloquial Arabic. So Arabic department is one of the most important departments in the president communications. You need at least to have a basic Arabic in order to be proud. If you are only an English patent, then you will be only communicating with elites. And this is what I think, my successors will be actually, doing. I was an Arabic patent, and as I told you yesterday, that I lead by example. Though there are people who speak Arabic better than me in my department, but I edit their work, because editing is not about knowing language alone. Particularly editing the work of the president, something that the president does as a political aspect, economics and social, and all the other, all the other things that lives of human wants. So knowing English language alone will not make you to run the office of the president, particularly the press unit. So all the news that were actually collected in Arabic by the Arabic department teams, and in English by the English department team, I all edit them. Up to this time, I'm still in the office to edit them. And I make sure that I have seen all the materials and approve them in order to run on the SSBC. So if you don't know Arabic, you will just be waiting for the Arabic editors to tell you what they have written. They will tell you in their own language, whether they explain it to you in Dinka or they explain it to you in colloquial Arabic, and you will still have to tell them yes, because at the end of the day, if you don't know Arabic, you don't command Arabic, you will not be able to talk to them about what they have written. If the mistakes comes out of the Arabic news, you will still take responsibility whether you read Arabic or you don't read it, because you are the head of the department. So my being in the office of the president for 9 years, I think was the most busiest time in my entire 58 years of age. Even when I was at the schools, I have never got a pressure like that before. I know I was having difficulties in mathematics. I slept thinking overnight on how to be able to do mathematics right tomorrow, so that I'm not beaten at the schools. But I never had anything so disturbing like being the head of the press department in the office of the president. I will tell you later on that the office of the president is the office whereby eyes of the whole people of South Sudan are on the office of the president, whether economically or job-wise, by looking for a job. Anybody working in the office of the president, even if you are a messenger, you are thought you can help someone to get a job. If they don't get a job, you can help them to get finances. These are the assumptions that people have. And as we go to answer questions later on, some of this we will be actually walking people through them. But to close my remark before I allow you people to ask questions, yesterday I actually said that I wanted my sister Lilia Dio to succeed, although she did not take over from me. She just took over from herself because she was discouraged and particularly the emotions that I saw in my nephew, Agal, statements is the type of emotion that led Madame Lily into not seeking for office handing over to her. And I said yesterday that I am too big for sections, I'm too big for tribes. Yes, I recognize there are tribes that are bigger than anybody in this country. But tribe is not what you apply for. All of us in this studio, me and you, comes from the Dinka. But none of us has actually written an application to be a Dinka man. All of us find ourselves like that. So we cannot sit day and night to talk about being Dinka or being sections, being Agar, being Dinka, being Malwal, being Red, and being Gok. We cannot speak about that because there's something already there. We speak about what takes us from this point to the other. So I don't subscribe to tribes and sections. I am too bigger than them. But this is what has made our country, to stand still or to almost collapse. Is because people think that if they belong to a tribe, then everybody else must be, part of that tribe, or otherwise they should continue to fight you. And that one comes down even to the Dinka tribes. The sections are elbowing themselves, which I don't actually subscribe to. That's why I said yesterday, when somebody is appointed in the government of South Sudan, whether you are appointed at the state level or at the central government level, it is your tribe that come to know the importance of your job before you. Your tribe you will find them dancing on the street. Your section you will find them dancing on the street and ululating, thinking that the job that has been given to you will be a job that will enhance or will alleviate the suffering of your own section. From there, we become emotional and make mistakes. If coming to sit in the office, we don't follow the right procedures in order to take over the office, because our tribes have already celebrated for us. They have celebrated the job that is given to us, even without understanding what is in that job. When I was appointed in 2013, on the 27th of November 2013, my family and my section, the section that I come from, approached me to say that they wanted to hire Freedom Hall in order to celebrate. I told them, what are we celebrating? Appointment? That I am appointed as a press secretary in the office of the president? What do you think I'm going to do in this job? Something that worth everybody celebrating. You should celebrate me when I am removed. And by the way, I was about to do a celebration last month. I called it off because people were trying to misunderstand it. A friend of mine came to me and said, we heard your family are actually organizing a party of about 400 people at Farm Africa Hall. This thing will be misconstrued by the security to mean that, if you are relieved from a government, you are telling them that, it is good that you are relieved. And that will be actually thought that maybe if you are relieved from something which is bad, then you can celebrate. That's why I suspended my celebration, because I knew what to tell people when I am celebrating. I have already 9 years. Some people with their assumptions will think that I have failed in certain areas. But for me, who keep the record, I have my memo, and I know exactly what I did. Some are useful now when I'm talking to you, I can tell you. There are some I cannot tell you. There are some even I don't tell my wife. Okay, simply because my wife may had a friend, and one time, you know, women like bragging. When she go there and find maybe a friend of somebody, wives, that my wife think is one of the people who have removed me, she will start saying, "Oh, look, what is my husband diary is this and this and that," and the information has already gone out. So I'm very careful to talk about certain things. If anybody think that I don't know anything in this country, that person is joking. And a girl has said it vividly. A girl said, "Don't joke with Ateny Wek when you come to political." This is the only credit he gave me, although it was a bit sarcastic. And I took it because anybody who doesn't know me that I can do politics, you know, he's joking with his own shit. And to add more, anybody who thinks that I don't have information about how things are done in government, that person is also joking with himself or herself. People will be talking on assumptions. And that is why it was good for Ring Machar to talk about anything, because he was just talking on assumptions. He did not know how the office of the president operates. You know, if you go to house of neighbor, your neighbor may even take salts from you, takes you know, onion from you, and takes all the other basic needs from you. And don't assume that that is the end of your neighbor. Don't think you know your neighbor because he takes basic thing from you. How he or she operates is different. Is very far from what you think. So I knew my brother Agal talked about how the office of the president operates, but I'm saying he doesn't know it. He doesn't know how it operates. He was a neighbor. He was coming from the office of the first vice president that lies about 700 yards or 700 meters to the office of the president in year one. And also, he was the press secretary of a leader of a faction that was fighting President Salva Kiir. He was not trusted. So even if you come to visit office of the president, you will not know how it is operated. He should wait for the people who know exactly how this country operates in order for him to have a proper reference. By the time he talks next time, he know exactly what he says. The continuation of a Joe Marang as Ateny Wek was a statement misplaced, and I have rebuked that.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable. We will come to that.
Yes.
We will come to that.
So
Thank you.
So that's what I want to tell you, that now you are talking to somebody who is in the office of the president, not somebody
Exactly.
who was in
Exactly.
the office of the first vice president.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, thank you for your remark, Honorable. As you know very well, and many South Sudanese who are watching you now across social media platforms knows who you are and the positions that you held in that nation. You put it correctly. Being a spokesperson of that state house is not an easy job, and especially during crisis when the nation is against each other politically, which gave birth to the deteriorating economy and the livelihood of the people in the country. It was not an easy thing to be dealt with. But we need you to do one thing for us, Honorable.
Yes.
We need you to tell us the difficult challenge or difficulties in the office of president as the press secretary that has worked for the 9 good years. So far, you are the longest serving or longest served press secretary, and we don't know who will serve after you for how long. But as per now, you are the longest, and that credit can be given to you. Can you tell us what were the challenges in the office of president, politically, economically, and socially? And after that, we'll move down to the ethics norm that guided the press unit in the office of president and the entire J1. Thank you, Honorable.
First of all, I will not talk about the challenges that face the office of the president, because some of them up to now are still classified information that do not necessarily have to be given to public. But what was challenging me in the last 9 years, is whether I can share some of them and leave some of them. But office of the president remain classified. Only few can be given to public. First, when I was appointed on the 27th of November 2013. And I found the press unit was a very small unit inside the Department of Communications and Public Relations. And it was manned by only 4 people. 4 people. One was a still cameraman. The other one was a reporter that takes things to the SSBC. And the other 2 are video cameramen. The head of press unit by then was called General Lazaro Leme Lobojo. And this guy was a video cameraman who walked all the liberated areas with Dr. John Garang. The other guy, late by now, was Hakim. Hakim also hails from Equatoria. He was a soldier and has walked all over the liberated areas with Dr. John. He was a cameraman. Another late, Garang Thiong from Bor. He was a photographer. He was also with Dr. John. But in 2005, when the government of Southern Sudan was established, Thomas Alisapana Babikir, Thomas Kenneth Alisapana Babikir, who is now ambassador, was actually brought to the office of the president in 2005 as the only reporter. They stays there, and Director General of Communications is the one who guides them. That was late Chad Paul Null. So anytime there is a disrepute in the office of the president, Chad Paul comes in to respond in writing. He doesn't respond on the media, on the screen media or online media or audio media. That is why many things did not come to public knowledge about the office of the president. So when the time came for me to be appointed, sometimes it's very difficult when you are appointed without lobbying anybody. Now there are people who are appointed and they have already lobbied. They knew exactly what they will do with the job. Me and my sister Adil, Lily Adil, we are having the same problems. Lily Adil did not lobby to become the press secretary in the office of the president, in as much as I didn't lobby anybody. And by the way, by the time when I was appointed in the office of the president, that was the time my column reached the peak, and it was a talk of this country. I don't visit government offices because governments were not secure. Government officials were not secure if they see me on the corridors of ministries. They think I'm coming to collect a document that I will be writing tomorrow about somebody corruptions. And by the way, the same people who are working in the government were the one bringing papers to me. And I, of course, this is my nature. If I knew you have done something wrong, I will tell you. Whether you are what, you are who, I will tell you. I will never shy away from the truth if I had it in my hand. So when I was appointed, it was a surprise to me. Who actually told the President Kiir to accept, to appoint me? And what am I going to do in this job? Press secretary in the office of the President, a department that was not known completely to the people of South Sudan. So I was having a dilemma. Instead of celebrating, I didn't sleep 3 days consecutively until I met the President on the 29th of November. First of all, I waited like any other person, waiting to be sworn in, waiting for the protocol officers to call you and say you come to the office of the President so that you are sworn in. Because I didn't know. When nobody was calling me, I thought I should come to J1. I went to J1. I met the executive director. By then was Ustaz Yallul Kaur, and he received me, highly, very warmly, and seated me in his office. He said, just wait for a half an hour and I will take you to the President so that you thanked him and for appointing you and you start your job. I asked, am I not going to be sworn? The same ignorant, I have seen it some few days, the same ignorant that came with me, I'm still seeing it. Even there are some people who are now surprised that why the successor of Mr. Ateny was not sworn in. But he told me, we are not sworn in. We are civil servant. I am grade 1 like you. The chief administrator is grade 1 like you. And so we just start our job. So you start your job. The office which used to be for the note taker, Comrade Ateny Wek Ateny, who is also an ambassador now, was emptied for me. The new furnitures were put in, and I was seated in a table that has no even one paper. We don't deal with files. There are no files to come to my office first in order to be passed to another office. We don't have files. So you create your own files. Create your own files because you are dealing with communications. You are dealing with communications. You don't have departments. That would be for the print media so that they read newspapers in the country and find which one to respond and which one to ignore. There's no department, okay, to be on electronic media and particularly languages, so that those who speak French could scan all the French media, and those who speak English scan all the English media, and those who speak Arabic scan all these languages. Because these 3 languages are surrounding us. We are bordered by Central African Republic. We are bordered by Congo, okay, and we are bordered by close. We have a close border to Chad, and these 3 countries are are French speaking. We are bordered by Uganda, Kenya, okay, and Ethiopia. and they are also English speaking. Even if the Hamari is the language in Ethiopia, they have also significant media houses that operate in English. And we have our big neighbor in the north with a border of 2,110 kilometers long. That is Sudan. All the media in Sudan were talking about South Sudan going to be a failed state. So now, having no department to listen to all this, so it is me to buy the whole newspaper in the country, including the newspapers in Arabic that comes from the north, because I want to know exactly what other people says about us. I will have to read them and summarize them and produce one and a half page. And this is something that is recurrent. I have to do it every morning. The news of Sudan, I read them online, and particularly Al-Intibah by Ateny Mustafa. Ateny Mustafa cannot write, his comment without South Sudan. We try to address this politically, but when I realized that it was not going to finish, politically, we made sure that on daily basis we deny the lies Ateny Mustafa says on Al-Intibah, and I am the one only doing all this. There's no department. The department of media in the office of the president is only concerned about news. Who met the president? Who is not meeting the president? And in the evening, these are the ones that make news. The whole thing is electronically. The whole thing is on the print media. There's nobody in the West that watch TV. If you see somebody watching TV, you people are living in the United States of America, and some of you are living in Australia. I live in United Kingdom. Only very few people who are politicians or politically inclined citizens that can tune to BBC 2 or ITV in order to tune to Prime Minister's questions time on Wednesday in England in order to know the affairs of the country. But majority of people, if you want to address them in electronic media. Now, another challenge is that there is something called priming in the news. If an event has occurred or an incident, each media house, each journalist will run faster to ensure they are the first to air the information. That is called priming. In a country that doesn't address or doesn't fully accept the media like South Sudan, majority of our government officials will not give you the information you want. So it was a big dilemma to me. And when I was being criticized that I respond to anything, including something that doesn't concern me, it was on this basis, because a journalist is not bound to wait for you indefinitely. If a story has come up, they will contact a concerned government official. If you tell them to wait for you, they will wait for 10, 20 minutes. You don't get information, they are justified to run the information without being balanced. And they will say, however, we contacted a concern or the spokesperson of the president. He was not there for a comment. I have contacted Michael McQuay, the Minister of Information, and he was not there to give us a comment. This is a justification for airing the information without government of South Sudan official responding. But because I understand how media work, if a journalist contacted a Gwerpanyang as a spokesperson of the army and his phone was switched off, Michael McQuay, his phone is switched off, And I have this attitude because I'm a very curious person. My phones are 24 hours. I don't switch them off even now. If you want to call me anytime, I will pick it, because the reason why I have a phone is to connect to the world. What else can I do with phones if I don't pick them? So now I became a media friendly by default because of my attitude of picking every phone. Even some phones sometimes are abusive to me. I am called and abused, and the phone is cut off. But it did not discourage me, because I'm a very curious person. I continued. Now, in a society where when information is not given, otherwise, or sometimes ignorantly, or because you don't know that information will help, and sometimes it's intentional by not giving the information. So what I did was a common sense and my ability politically to preempt an answer, how to answer the media. If I were only a media person without any political background, I would be blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't have even done anything. I'm so proud of being politically oriented person. If somebody called me that I'm not a journalist, I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to receive it, because it's not journalism alone. That's big thing. So when I am called, and it is about the army, that a soldier has killed or raped a woman in Pagak or in Gadiang or in Pinyidwai or Fashoda. Now, to look for the proper information, you will need to have a contact of all the units of the army until the last unit in which a given soldier has taken law into his or her own hand will be found, and then you are fed with the details. Something I can never get. Even my sister Adia will not get it, even today. I wish she there's no war in this country again. And this is what I want. That's why I was saying my sister Adia will be happy to do a journalistic job without anything else. Okay, because this is the time for peace, and therefore she can just do journalistic job. That was not the case with me. Now, instead of leaving the story to run without government official deflecting or giving a side of a story of the government, I will one time come in and says, a soldier that raped a woman in Pinyidwai or in Langachok was not authorized by the government. So he did it on his own. And the government will investigate the situation, okay? And accordingly, the perpetrator will be given to justice. Now I provided the story, the story of the government. Instead of anybody that is going to listen to it, believing 100% that the government has committed a problem, a crime, that little response from me negate, okay? But when South Sudanese listen to this, they will say I have interfered into the work of the army, okay? And the army was not there to respond. And the government complement each other. The government departments, government institutions complement each other. To make the matter worse, I was speaking for the head of state. The head of state is the commander-in-chief of the army. The head of state is a supreme commander. Other organized. The head of state, okay, is also the chairman of the SPLM. Okay. So my job as the president, jobs are cross-cutting. It's a matter of having information. If I have information about the SPLM and I am asked, a journalist was not asking me for no reason. He might have tried level best, his or her level best to ensure he gets connected to members of the secretariat of the SPLM. But if he didn't meet them, instead of leaving any story that was said about the SPLM to go unanswered, I will offer my own response. I will offer my own response and make sure that the SPLM is also protected in this. People were seeing me as if I was jumping up and down, just intruding into everybody job. There's no any everybody job in the government. Government, government, jobs overlaps. Even when you do the law, you will find that the separation of powers overlaps. The separation of powers between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary overlapped, because the same judges, okay, are also making laws by interpreting laws, and any judgment, binds the future similar cases. That is called judge-made laws. Okay, and the same legislators can be also be in executive, like in the case of United Kingdom. A prime minister must be a member of parliament, because if you are not a member of House of Commons, how do you go to House of Commons? People don't walk to House of Commons unless you are elected to be there. People elect you to be in the House of Commons. That's why the prime minister is inside the parliament floor. If in South Sudan we have a republic, and that the president is head of states and the head of government at the same time. Okay, so even the description between the function of the president and that of the prime minister and that of the commander-in-chief, they overlapped. So I was responding, and this one has become so challenging because there were people who think I was taking their job, particularly when the 2013 erupted. This is the final point, so that I go back to the questions. In 2013, when the war erupted, and that the war was misunderstood by our neighbors, Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Egypt, Sudan, all our neighbors and those who are connected historically misunderstood the root cause of the conflict of 15 December 2013. When you go to Kenya and somebody sees you to be a Dinka, they will tell you, why you people? Why Dinka? Why Dinka killing Nuer? The same thing in Uganda. The foreign affairs was divided. As the community was divided, community of this nation was divided. The 2013 war divided South Sudan more than any other time in history of mankind. You will find an ambassador. He's an ambassador of South Sudan during the day, and at night he's a rebel. He will be taking rebels on their limousine. Okay? So now, if I am taking rebel at night and being with the government during the day, how trustworthy am I to even talk and even further the situation, the diplomacy for South Sudan? The answer is none. So the foreign affairs was completely defective. So me and Ustaz Yalwal and Mayan Waljong, Molana Mayan, who is now the current undersecretary in the Ministry of Petroleum and was by then the chief administrator, we sat three of us. And by the way, this one is going to be a reason why I should be writing my memoir, so that I tell people of South Sudan exactly what certain people have done good for this country and who have sabotaged this country. I will also mention it in my book. I'm going to be relentless in my writing, because Agal was saying that he goes by the truth. But I think I go by more than truth. Okay, yeah, anything that is more than truth, even if it is bitter, I would say. I sat with Yel, Mayan, and myself. I told them, look, diplomacy has gone sour for South Sudan. The war in Juba is not known in the region and worldwide. How do we let the region know exactly the root cause of the problem? They told me, what do you think? What do you think? I said, if you people facilitate me and that we take the permission from the president to allow me to travel, I will only be a guest for journalists. I will not go to the foreign affairs. So that Dr. Banaba by that time don't feel like I am taking his job. Already the job was not being done by the ambassadors. So I said I will be a guest to journalists. And I will let the journalists only that I need money to be hiring a hall, invite all journalists in that country. The ambassador of South Sudan in that country will help me, will come and sit with me. Okay? So that some sort of diplomacy is seen there. And from there, I will be talking to tell people about the root cause of the problem in Juba for 15, 20 minutes. After which, we will allow journalists to ask questions until they had no questions. I am not limited in responding to any questions. My enemy will not accept this, but it's something that is in me, and I know. Even if I go back to the village and become a villager, I will respond to the questions. This thing was approved by the president. And Ustaz Yalul and Mayan Woljong, he started paying the money. When we take the money, I will go later on and make a list, because I was with Agwarpanya, who was by then the spokesperson of the army, and I was with Mario Jackson, who was the communication director under me in the office of the president. Okay. We set off for Egypt. We have a TV crew that will also be joining the media houses of those countries we were visiting. First, we started with Egypt because we want to change the narrative that Salva Kiir attacked his opposition leader in an attempt to take him off from the positions. Because on the 23rd of July, 2013, President Salva Kiir sacked the whole government. And 7 days later, he appointed the foreign affairs minister. And 10 days later, the war erupted. No, 3 months later, the war erupted. Okay? When the war erupted, it divided. So when we went to Egypt. I went to a place called Dar es Safin. This is the media house. I pay a rent of about $3,740 to rent a hall. We invited all the media in Egypt. This is what Ambassador Anthony Majonkon-Kuch did to the best. We had the media. We have 3 hours press conference. There's no 3 hours press conference anywhere. If you are a journalist, the press conference doesn't go beyond 45 minutes maximum. But because we wanted to change the narrative politically, the narrative about the root cause in Juba. When I was answering questions, anything about the army, I referred it to Agwarpanyang, Philip. And I dealt with all the political aspect of the conference. The ambassador of South Sudan to Egypt by then Ustaz Anthony, Luis Konkuch, applauded me for making Egyptian to exactly understand. We did diplomacy within the journalism. For 3 days, I was still in Egypt. For the 3 days I spent in Egypt, okay, the media was writing about the narrative in Juba, the narrative I gave them. I was not joking. That narrative changes the perspective in Egypt and made the government of Egypt to even send their invoice to meet the president in Juba. We came to Khartoum, okay? We did the same thing. I even answered the questions of one journalist who told me, we heard that Juba is not secure. Anywhere you go is littered with corpses of the dead people. Okay? I said, this is not true. Juba lies in the same place that Khartoum lies. There is war in southern Kordofan. The war in southern Kordofan doesn't bring on the street of Juba the corpses of the people who are killed from rebel and from the government. And there is also war in the east. By bringing the answer back to Khartoum, that journalist became shaky and was not able to ask another questions. And I said, anybody who wanted to tarnish the image of Sudan would just say that Khartoum, okay, Khartoum is, has a lot of corpses on the street because there's still this news of Darfur fighting and the southern Kordofan fighting. It's the same thing. We give the narrative to Khartoum. And already in Juba, murmuring is happening. People are going to ministries saying that this is the job of the Minister of Foreign Affairs that Ateny was doing. Okay? It is like you are going up, you are climbing on the tree, and your feet are being held by somebody standing on the ground. We left Khartoum, we went to Nairobi. We had a press conference in Nairobi with the Werpanyang, with the ambassador, Majong Gwandong by the time. A journalist asked me, why do Dinka kills Nuer? Luckily, I was with another Nuer who was sitting next to me. He's one of diplomats who did not have any initiation like me. I told that person to rise, and another guy from Bor, Awan, I told him to rise and ask that journalist to distinguish between who is Nuer and who is Dinka. And he failed miserably. I said, are you unable to distinguish between who is Nuer and who is Dinka among the two? At least one of them is Nuer. He said, I can't differentiate. Oh. I said, if you don't differentiate, then don't talk about something you don't know. Okay? What happened in South Sudan is similar to the 2007 crisis, the post-election violence, whereby those who did not win the elections fought with those who won the elections. And within Kenyans, the Kenyan kills about 1,300 people using machetes, hammers, and they were using knives, and they killed 1,300. What do you think if they were arms? South Sudan came all along as a liberation is as a liberation struggled. People came from all along as revolutionaries, and so we have not yet taken arms out of the civil populations. So when political differences happen, people kill themselves, and it was the government fighting the rebels. And the rebels now are confined to an area called Pagak, not close to Juba. Okay? So we give those explanations, then we proceed to Uganda. We did the same thing successfully. By then, Ambassador Samuel Luate Lumunsuk was there, and he sat with me. He was seated with me, and Agwar Panyang also was there. We did it to the best. When I came back to the country, my minister, by then, Awan Golriak, summoned me to his office to warn me about why I took the diplomacy to be part of the media, because complaints were brought to him. Awan Golriak is alive. He's there to attest on his own. Okay? He might have been responding to certain queries from other people. I told him that I was filling the gap. There was a gap, and what has happened in Juba, nobody knows. But these are the challenges that faces me. And now, another challenges, I will leave them for my memure, because some of them are still classified as I speak. I only speak about what can be given to the public. And what cannot be given to the public now, I'm leaving it to me. So, this job, I did not even know, and I said this to my one Gordon Motat when he interviewed me last week in Rumbek Broadcasting Corporation, also a media online. I know you people of Rumbek, actually, you have done very well. And other people should follow suit, because you people have set up a media house that is so professional. So I applaud you for that. When my one Gordon Motat interviewed me, I said, I never knew I would leave this job alive. I thank God. And I thank the president. Okay? He supported me all along. That is why I managed to come out in the office of the president alive. This job particularly, if there is a crisis in the country, to leave for 7 days is a great thing. You will be even thanking God, because what you do, unless you don't consider media as part of what you do. Because I did live interviews in the streets of Juba on the Jazeera English, Jazeera Arabic, Al Arabiya, Sky News, CNN, TRT, China Television, that one, the CTV. I did it live on the street. Within your house, you will know which street Ateny Wek is standing. And the lighting is second to none. A sniper can just get up on a tree, because this is a divided country already, and shoot my head. And by the way, the only problem would have been that I have never been insured. Yeah, there's no insurance. I've never been insured to stand on that risky, roads. So I would have died. Yes, the president would have supported my children for a few months, and he will be overwhelmed, because there are a lot of issues similar to it that he cannot continue to only stand in the house, to help the only one house in South Sudan. So by leaving this job alive is a great thing, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ateny, for that explanation and for giving us the challenges that you went through in the office of president, because you were the first press secretary to establish and create what is now called the press unit in the office of president, with everything in it and the challenges during the war crisis. Kindly, time is against us, and we will try to summarize everything.
Yes.
We'll move to the ethics. What are the codes of conduct in the office of president and ethics norms? Because in every office, you must be taken through induction to know which are done and which are due. So in the office of president, kindly, can you highlight some of them, especially in the press unit, to tell the public today because public always seem like there is no secrecy in the office of president. Are there code of conduct or not? Thank you.
There are code of conduct in the office of the president that are second to none in the country. Because what people perceive to be lack of secret in the office of the president is an assumption. I have challenged a media house, a media person one time, because he told me, you people in the office of the president don't have secrets. When a decree is about to be issued, a decree for a leave or for appointment, the public will know in the afternoon or at 1 o'clock before they tune to the news at 8 o'clock. I said, you are a liar. Why? You know what happened? We are working with, the office of the president is accessed by everybody, almost everybody in the country. So when a visitor come to my office, or going to Dengwal office, the executive director, or to the office of the chief of state protocol, Sabit Bulan, and then he or she sees the head of legal administration, by then was late Majung Mading, and then later on was succeeded by Comrade Juan Alice, Molana Juan Alice Joshua. When you see the head of legal administration going up and down, you will just assume that there will be decrees today, because this is the lady that does the decrees. The decree is done, okay? This is a product of the president, okay? Now people are talking about some people are even removed without president knowing. This is an insult to the president, which I cannot allow. Anybody removed is removed by the president. Anybody appointed is appointed by the president. Okay? Now, if you are the president and I tell you to remove B or A, and you accepted it, you conceptualize and become you. So when the president accepts to remove a certain person, he will call directly the head of legal administration. The head of legal administration will write the decree, citing the laws. And the head of legal administration, the lady I know, Joan Alice Joshua, will not tell you who is removed and who is appointed. Even if you kill her, you will kill her. She will never accept that. And she has a very well-trained team with her that cannot talk. So when she takes the decree to the executive director to seal, because the seal of the republic is cited by the president. From there, these three people, there's nobody who will know. Even me, I did not know how the decrees were issued. Okay? These are only three people. Now, come to the point of taking the photocopy of a sealed Republican decree to the SSBC. It is taken by the protocol, but the protocol takes what they don't know because they don't open the envelope. The executive director sealed the envelope. The security operator in the SSBC, if the seals is removed from the envelope, they will not take it. They will not announce it, and you take the responsibility. So the protocol officer just takes something which he doesn't know. So now, with these three people only working in a decree, then the issue of decree leaking out is an assumption. And I asked someone one time, if you find there will be a decree to be issued today at 8 o'clock, and you got it at 3 o'clock, you show me the decree number that will commensurate with the decree number that is given on the SSBC. This is lie. There's no leakage of information from the office of the president. The office of the president has a code of conduct, and the information don't go out to an authorized
Thank
person.
you. Thank you so much, Honorable. We'll move down to the issue of degrees being issued in the office of president and how the information, the secrets in the office of president always leaked out. Recently, before your dismissal, South Sudanese assume, as you said before, all these are assumptions, and you are here to clarify and rectify those information. You were accused yourself that you added someone whom the president did not even intended to dismiss on that very day, in the person of Deputy Governor of Central Bank.
Yes.
These
No,
allegations
the governor of Central
actually
Bank.
went wide to South Sudanese, and South Sudanese went as far as saying that this is the main reason to why Molana Ateny was dismissed by the president.
Yes.
Kindly, can you clarify that to the public for them to know? You said earlier that you don't even have close relation with the office that writes degrees in the office of president. Thank you.
By the way, this one is speak about the naivety and the situations our people are in, the ignorance, even among the educated, among the elites. There is a better, better awkward, understanding of how certain things work. As I explained earlier, nobody can be removed in the office of the president, or nobody can be, be appointed without president knowing this. By the way, president is a very intelligent person. I agree with Galring Machar. Even the appointments of soldiers, promoting them to the ranks and files. Even if you bring 1,000 officers, Salva Kiir might have gone through them one by one. If he doesn't know the person, he will ask the head of that unit to be called, so that how did this person comes into this rank, and he will be given explanation. That is why promotion of the soldiers take long in front of the president, because it's huge, and he wanted to know them one by one. He is not a type of person that can be cheated in the one place. This is a very big answer. The people should understand. If he did not have intention of removing Isaac Makur, the governor of Central Bank, then the question is, when somebody go there and tamper with the decree of the president and put somebody the president was not intending to remove, who assigned the deputy governor of the bank to continue for 14 days to spend, to open the treasury, because he's a treasurer, to open a treasury for the nation, giving out salaries and other emoluments for 14 days. If somebody was doing it and was not the president doing it, that person should be the president. That person. Even if I were to be the one who removed Isaac Makur, there's no need. I am not the president now. How on earth can a press secretary remove the governor of Central Bank? How on earth can a press secretary get access to even decree so that it goes unchanged? This, if our people were actually exposed enough to understand how things happen, one will deny it while you are sitting in you are lying on your bed, and you are told that Makur was not supposed to be removed as a governor of Central Bank. It is a Gaga Chwil that was supposed to be removed by the Ateny Wek. And you will say shit and walk away from that person. Don't wait for that person. That person is going to infect you with ignorance, because it cannot happen. The president is the last person in South Sudan to see the SSBC. He watched the news until the TV closes at midnight, and then he sleeps. In the morning, if a mistake happened, in the SSBC, and I'm coming to apologize to him because the MD told me to apologize to him on his behalf. He said, I have seen that yesterday. A President Kiir will even see even the scrolling, the information that is scrolling on the, like the one now scrolling on this leg state media. If there is a grammatical mistakes on that, President Kiir will tell me in the morning, why did you people put a wrong spelling in the scrolling, leave alone a decree? He does his decrees and he sits in the evening to see them, they are being read out correctly. So it is good. I am talking now to the Lake media, Lake State media, and I hope every sons and daughter of Lake State have access to listen to this, because South Sudan is a country that is tribal, is sectional, and is even Kashmir. Anybody who is taking, we have gadgets on me that I have taken Makur, let them know from today that if I were to take Makur, it was not possible. What is possible that I want to say? When I was press secretary in the office of the president, like any other press secretary that has come and gone elsewhere, you are an advisor to the president. All the advisors to the president, you are included. You are an advisor. If you have the stomach to tell the president, this is not right, and this is not how it is done, and it is you and him alone, he's a very sensible man. He will tell you, yes, what do I do now? You tell him, do it this way, do it this way. But if he accepted that, if I go out and said, I told the president to remove Makur, and he has accepted to remove Makur, I am very foolish. Because already the president has conceptualized it, and it become his own decision. The president, gets information from people, and he translates them into his own actions. He takes the responsibility for what he has done right, and he takes the responsibility for what he has done wrong. He will not blame his staff for having told him something which turned out to be wrong later on. It doesn't happen like that. So President Kiir removed the governor of Central Bank and the Minister of Finance, Agaga Chil, the same day, but because he did not make a decision as to who should be appointed as the governor of Central Bank, he assigned the first deputy to be acting for 14 days until he was fully appointed as the governor of Central Bank. That is the case.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mwalana, for that clarification. At first, we live in a young nation whereby everybody tend to believe and begin to think like the nation itself. We all think like South Sudan, and everything is young to us, including education itself and technology.
Yes.
We'll move to the questions of cartel capturing J1. Many people say J1 has been captured by cartel. And this cartel, what they normally do, or they normally does, is to sell the information to the politicians, and the politician pay them money. Like if I work in J1, even if I'm merely a gate man, I can call a politician and tell him that I will talk to Mwalana Ateny to pass your information to the president so that you can be appointed. If only that you can give me some tokens to sort out the issue of rent in Nairobi or in Kampala. Kindly, can you tell us more about that? Because many people tend to believe that J1 is having four outlets where it normally captured. That is Minister of Finance, Central Bank, NILPAT, and lately South Sudan National Revenue Authority. 4 of them. These are the only loopholes that J1 always focus much attention in. can you tell us that are there people within J1 after your 9 years experience who always sell information to the politician in order to be paid and pretend that they will lobby to the president for them to be appointed? Thank you.
Yes, first of all, I wanted to say there is no cartel. I know this word was coined by Comrade Agel Ringmacha, and that's why I said a neighbor will not know how the house of his neighbor operates. Agel has been coming as a visitor, so he did capture this one wrong. If there was a cartel in the office of the president, okay, I would have been one of the targets that people targets in order to give me money. I'm the poorest man now. As I leave the office of the president, I'm the poorest man. I don't have a house in Juba, okay, because I believe in doing my job, and later on, they said would reward me. I came from this mentality in the West, that when you get the money, you get money when you are outside the office, okay? So there's no cartel in the office of the president. If there was a cartel in the office of the president, I would have got a glimpse of it. Even if I don't become part of it, I would have got a glimpse of how the cartel is actually running J1. This is an insult to the highest office in the land, and which is done on assumptions. What I do know, and this comes to where we came from as a revolutionaries. There are individuals, including messengers, who don't know their job descriptions. Okay, because if a messenger come from certain area, they are unquestionable. There are messengers that can even call a minister to the corner and tell the minister, listen to me. And by the way, this is not an issue that is peculiar to messengers. One time in J1, when we were receiving the credentials of the ambassadors, and I was there, the president was the one receiving the credentials. There was a deputy minister by then, and there is executive director. After the Chinese ambassador came to be accredited, he gave the president 2 books as a gift from Xi Jinping. And 2 books are volumes. He wrote them. Xi Jinping, the president of 1.4 billion, but he still has the time to write a book, a volume for that matter, an encyclopedia for that matter. The 2, one and the second one, and the first and the second. And they are all talking about politics and how China became what it is, according to Xi Jinping. When the ambassador has gone and we have already finished the accreditation, I start joking with the president because, president loves jokes. I told you several times. I said, Mr. President, now you are a president of 14 million or 13. And because the country has certain tribes that cannot allow stability to happen, you cannot have time to write a book of a 12-page. But Xi Jinping was able to write 2-volume books. The president laughed and said, yes, even we are to reduce to 500,000, a president of 500,000 in South Sudan cannot have a time to write. And then now, after sharing a joke, he got up, he want to go. A deputy minister told him, sit down, I want to tell you something. And everybody was laughing, though anybody whom I shared that joke with was laughing. That is the reason why we don't move. Because even the president is been asked to sit down, to listen to somebody very junior. and will happen. This is outside the norms. But what do you do? Because you are a country that is so new, and you are just coming out from liberation struggles, whereby those code and ethics will have to get to people gradually. Even if you become a minister, you will miss something, because ministerial position is only appointment. But you are a human being like you people sitting there. If you are appointed, you will come with your ignorance. Anything you don't know will come with you also to be a minister. So there are cases whereby even messengers will develop an extraordinary relationship with ministers. What they do tell them, I don't know, because I have never been a minister. If I am a minister and a messenger comes to me in the corner, if I am going to J1, and asks me to stop, okay, and then she or he tells me what he wanted to tell me, if he's using which power, then from there I will come and share with you. But now I don't know. But to say that there is a cartel in J1 is an exceedingly lie. There's no cartel in J1. I would have been part of that cartel, because majority of people, when I of the president, know me that I talk to the president. If people are loved and given money, I would have even got money. But nobody has come to me to say I want to see the president. So this is a lie.
Thank you, Maulana, for clarifying that assumption. We'll move it to my colleague, Bolmakur. We are left with more 2 questions to end our conversation. And we really appreciate your time to come and talk to the citizen and to clarify some of the statements that are roaming around on social media and on the street of Juba too, at the tea places. Thank you so much. Bolmakur?
Yes. Thank you, Majuk. I appreciate that. And thank you, Maulana Ateny Wek, for coming to Lake State Media to clarify some question lingering in our citizen mind. The question that I will ask you are follow-up question that I got from your explanation. You said you are grade 1 press secretary. What is the average salary, or how much does a press secretary make?
No, first of all, you know, there's no any country whereby people talk about their salaries. It is little. There's no anybody in South Sudan that has a salary anyway. Okay? Anybody has a salary that is less than 2. So I will not talk about the salary. But what I am saying about grade, I was in the top grade of civil servant in the country. That was the top grade. Yes.
Thank you for that short answer. When you make remarks about the editing of Arabic collection news and English collection news, you said up to now, this time, I am still the office. I am still being called in the office to edit. If I prepare this one wrongly, correct me. Are they still summoning you now to the office of the president to edit the Arabic? Or
No.
Can you correct that statement?
You did not take it right. Actually, even my successor did not call me to hand over the office to her. Okay. I was willing to hand over to her, so that she always refer to, you know, she has right, because everybody has a style of leadership that is different from the other. I was going to hand over the 12 page of intellectual property, something written about what does this job actually requires. She will refer to it and guide herself with it if she were to accept handing over. But she was already discouraged not to talk to me. By being discouraged not to talk to me, I am not blaming her. In South Sudan, the appointed person and the relief person are automatically enemies. Okay? They don't even greet,
which is very
greet each other.
unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. For me, okay, for me, that is not the case. So I just fall into the fit that was dug by certain people. Okay? For me, I don't get to the same position after leaving it. Okay? Yeah, because other people are removed and they will even come to lobby in order to go back to the same position. I am not going to do that.
Thank you.
Okay? So you should have realized that I am the one who looked for a telephone, and I telephoned her in Nairobi while she was about to come. And I told her that when you arrive, please let me come and sit with you so that I give you the handing over and take it from where I actually stopped. And then she was discouraged from seeing me.
Thank you. This
Also, I
time
am
I
not
would like...
the editing, the Arabic paper, the Arabic news. You know, we are very able, 3 people who are very, very good writers in Arabic. We have Marco Dingwal, we have Atoch Patrick Kanon, a lady, and we have Deng Pyok. Okay, Deng Pyok, Deng. Okay, they are Arabic writers. What I was saying, I said, if you don't have the command of the Arabic, you will just be listening to them. Like my sister Adil has no command of Arabic, so she will only be receiving the Arabic news, and she has to approve them like that, because at the end of the day, all the news, whether Arabic and English, that are to be taken to the SSBC, have to be sanctioned by the press secretary. Press secretary has to edit them and see whether they met the linguistics requirement as much as the political context of those news. And from there, you approve them.
Thank you. Thank you, Molana. This time we need short answers because we're running out of time.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I will ask short question and I need short answers.
Okay.
You said that you don't go to many branch of the government, different ministries, because they will think that Ateny Wek is taking over our job. For instance, you don't go to Minister of Foreign Affairs. If you don't work together with all the governmental ministries, how will the reform come to the country?
No, what I said when I was a columnist, I don't work to government departments. And I was saying this because I did not lobby the position I was in. I was appointed, surprisingly, the way my sister Adia was actually appointed. So I was talking on the area of lobbying, that I didn't lobby anybody, because I used not to go to the government department simply because I was a columnist and I was critiqued at the same time. Because if I am to sing a song, I don't praise people and quite point, because live in my blood. So I will tell you exactly what you have done wrong. And therefore, I was not going to the government department simply because they will see me like coming to take the information and write against them those days, but not after I have become the press secretary. When I was press secretary, I go to every department.
Thank you, Molana. There is a question I will ask, and this question had been there outside, and don't take it personal. There is a complaint concerning women that if you go to the office of the president and you want to see president, there is something called something for something. And Ateny Wek would like, if you want to see a president, something for something should happen. Explain to me. It's called quid pro quo in United States. So tell me about this.
Makur.
Hey.
Bol Makur.
Yes.
Thank you for asking this question, Walai. This question has bothered me so much. First of all, take it on the line. Those who think that somebody can be appointed or dismissed without president knowing is also an insult. The president is a human being, and he knows who he is. Okay? I cannot go for something with a lady in order to bring her to the president. The president, I can come to say, Bol Makur wanted to see you. If he accepts to see you, because he has to accept, he's a human being. If he accepts to see you, then Bolmakur will go. If he doesn't accept, I will come back to you and tell you that the president is busy. So it is not practical for women to be taken to the rooms before they see the president. It's not even practical. I have 5 wives, and at the same time I have the ability to talk to a woman and convince her without needs of taking them to the office of the president, if that is the suggestion. Okay, that one was a wild propaganda against me, which has not been the case. Now, as outside the office of the president, okay, if I wanted a queue of women to come to me, okay, convincing them, if I wanted to marry until 20, I will just do it. Because South Sudan is a polygamy society. And in a polygamy society, you marry as long as your power and your ability allows.
Thank you, Molana.
My ability to get married and my ability to convince a woman is not, it was not when I was in the office of the president. This is an insult, and even insult to the ladies. The ladies are still going to the office of the president as I am out. And it is their right to be in the office of the president. Ladies worked in government, and ladies also work in business and in private sector. If they think they can go to the office of the president is where anybody think if you enter, you will find something that you want in your life, particularly business and getting money. This is the assumption in people. So even with Ateny Wek outside the office of the president, ladies are still going there, and it should not be taken offensively against the women.
Thank you, Molana. You know, Molana, there are things that upset South Sudanese. And my final question, so Isaac can come in also. You know, Sudanese are so upset. I will preface this, and also if I didn't preface it very well, you can put it in your own way. You know, when President welcome one of the should I call it missionaries or that bishop that came from South Africa. Yes. So when he came, he was welcome, and President went and received him. Put the letter on your own way, the way it happened. And after he was received, this person was given $2 million, according to the public stories. Can you just help us explain this in your own word, or what happened? And also the reason why Junubin are so angered, the way he was received, because our president went and received this person, and he went and received a certain musician, which our president shouldn't go and receive certain musician just coming from Tanzania. South Sudanese are very angry about this. Can you explain these two things to us, about the musician that the president went to receive, and about the prophet? Yes, prophet, about the prophet from South Africa.
No, that was a prophet from Nigeria. That was
Nigeria. Yeah.
TB Joshua came to the country. First of all, there is one thing that you need to know. South Sudan is a circular country. That all the religions have the same forum, the same level, be they Christians or Muslims, or even Jews if there are Jews, or even African traditionalists. I am not a Christian. I am an African traditionalist. So it is also recognized by the Constitution. That's one. Number two, president is the head of the states, and he's a politician. And politician leaves because of the public, relations. The church in South Sudan, particularly the Stone International Church, is a church with huge followers that can only listen to the junior prophet Ayual. If the election comes, they will vote for whoever prophet Ayual will tell them. And this is the only church that was connected to TB Joshua. So they brought the invitation. They brought the invitations, okay, that TB Joshua wanted to come because it is a prophecy. The prophet choose where to go. So TB Joshua decided to come to and pray in South Sudan. I was still in J1. I did not go to the prayers, but because of my own belief. But when he came, he did not take any money. The president did not give any money. That 2 million is a utopian kind of story. The president did not give money. Okay, TB Joshua came only to pray, went back to his country, and later on he died in his country. He did not come back. He was about to come back to South Sudan. The musicians, there's no musician that has ever been received by the president. And if a musician came, because I think the musician from Tanzania, when he came here, I was not in the country. Okay, if he was brought to the president, which I'm not sure, that would have been also on the line of a public relations, because the musician is a human being. Yeah, I know there is a musician that saw the president. That is Nada Al-Gala. Nada Al-Gala from Sudan. And do you know the reason why Nada Al-Gala met the president? It was against the background of the song she has composed, about the role of South Sudan to mediate peace in the Sudan. And this was relevant to the peace initiative that the president has undertaken between the Sudanese warring parties, Sudanese, political spectrum. And the song were relevant to that. That is why he called for Nada Al-Gala to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Molana. Another.
And he did not give money to Nada Al-Gala.
Thank you. It's good for this to be clarified because South Sudanese are not happy about those stuff. Another thing is coming to you. Molana, during time you were in your office, President Kiir sit down with the media from other nations, journalists from other nations, and you refuse to let President Kiir sit down with his own journalists in his own country. You deny them, and when other journalists from other nations come, they will sit down with President Kiir, they will walk around J1, and you block South Sudanese journalists, you block South Sudanese news. I am one of them who is very upset about this, but yes. I did not rule against you because it is a government things. One day I will arise and I will come to J1. Why would you do this?
Thank you so much. First of all, as I told you, if you are working as a press secretary, you are also an advisor to the president. If you are an advisor to the president, you can advise the president. Otherwise, whether for the good or for bad, you are a human being at the end of the day. President Kiir is always interacting with the media on daily basis because this is one of the presidents that sits longer in the meetings more than another president. Because South Sudanese, if they have an issue and they didn't sit down with the president, they will never be happy. So they must always meet the president. So the president is doing a lot of meetings than what is necessary in the circumstances. So now it depends on the luck. If your application comes to me during the time when the president is busy, sometimes the whole week, even on Sunday, you work on Sunday, I will tell you if there is anything you want to ask President about, you ask me. I will answer it to you. Because I wanted to reduce the workload of the president in as much as possible. And I knew if there is anything that you ask me and I give you an answer, it will exactly be what you are expecting from the president. But majority of news agencies are not looking for positive news in South Sudan. And then South Sudanese has even joined the line. Okay? People comes to the president because, negativity sells higher than the positive. They would want to talk to the president. And I said this to I said, President love jokes. Okay? Last time, he jokes with Jeff Koinange, okay, and Jeff Koinange from Citizen TV in Kenya asked him, Mr. President, do you enjoy being the president? The president then said no. He said, how? But why are you not leaving the office? He said, being president has come with responsibilities that you cannot leave them. But it seems like I have walked into prisons unknowingly. And Jeff Koinange was laughing because it was not a journalistic question. He deleted it when the story was run because it was not part of what he wanted to ask the president for. So South Sudanese media lacked funding. So by lacking funding, they attach themselves to the Western media. And Western media will tell you only look about negative things in South Sudan. Okay.
But we are a Western media, but we are very positive about South Sudan. What do you think?
No. But let me tell you this. I have the experience. I have seen it my own way. Majority of the media, you people are South Sudanese more than even South Sudanese inside here. I know that because I was in London, and the thing that I cannot do when I was in London, I came and found people doing them here. So those who are living outside, you are even more South Sudanese than anybody. I know that. I can attest to this. But the media, that is purely set up media, okay, internationally, when they come to South Sudan, they wanted to ask about a negative thing. First of all, I told you that the information in South Sudan doesn't flow. Even you as an army unit commander in Pagak or in Longchok or in Rang, you will be having information you have not passed to anybody. A journalist will have that information. If I allow them to come to the president and ask the president about particulars of certain information that never come to the president, then it will be me that will be embarrassed. And it was during the war, because when it was during the war, if the president doesn't give an answer correctly, because the information was not given to him, I have embarrassed the president, and on my own behalf, I have embarrassed the whole nation. Okay. So I made a decision that during this time of war, president can only be accessed by few media houses that I screened first.
Thank you.
Any media that I screened. Now it is
our journalist is getting late for our reporters down Juba there. They are just asking to leave here.
The peacetime. This is now we are talking in a peacetime. I have said this to Mawan on RBC that my sister Adil can now pick it up and bring all the media to the president, because there's no media that will be asking about anything that is within the war. There's no war in the country again. This is a peacetime, and even I was going to open the media to interview the president when I was still in the office of the president. But luckily, I am now out, so it will be incumbent upon Sister Adil to continue to do this. At the end of the day, I have done what I have done, and she will be doing what she is doing.
Thank you. It is 7 o'clock now in Juba anyway. Transportation is still running around. So let's have two questions. I'll give it to Isaac, by the way. President Kiir sometimes called people that he relieved, he called them back to the office. And I have dream one day you will still holding another office, because you are a South Sudanese, you might be called back. I knew that because President Kiir called people back sometime and give them job. Okay. For instance, Benjamin Marial was relieved and he was called back, isn't it? So you might fall to that category. If you go back to the office of press secretary, what would you do to Lake State Media?
Well, I think in a lifetime I cannot go back to the office of the president as press secretary. I have bypassed that line already. But I do know President Salva Kiir has reassigned people. I have already defined this in RBC. I said, in government, we don't have jobs. We have assignment. A job is different from assignment. If Lake Media, as a media house, invites the media personnel to submit their applications for a job, it will have to describe what kind of a job, what are the benefits, and if I meet the criteria, I'm shortlisted, and my criteria, my credentials met the requirement, and I am appointed. The contract is given to me. I sign the contract. The contract would be for a specific time, whether 10 years or 5 years. When the 5 years is about to elapse, I will look for another job if the contract is not renewable. That is how the job is run. In assignment, okay, because we are revolutionaries, you are given an assignment, and under the discretion of the appointing authority, you stay in that assignment, whether for good or for bad. You stay there until the appointing authority decides to remove you, either to go ahead or you step aside. And this is what has happened to me. If I am reassigned, that will be called reassignment, which is also capable of being revoked anytime. I have no problem. I'm still a member of government, and with me being inside or outside is the same, because I'm bound by the laws that govern the country. If you have the classified information because you were authorized, you stay for 5 years before that authorized that classified information become unclassified.
Thank you.
Become classified. So I'm still a member of government, and it is up to the government to give me an assignment or to leave me until I finish my 5 years and I start publishing my book and I start selling. Yes.
Thank you. I will turn microphone to my colleague, Isaac Tiengpol, the chairman, president of Lake State Media. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you, Molana Ateny Wek. We have our reporters who are with you there. They just requested that they are just using the borders, and it's getting late.
Yes. Okay.
So we won't be last long. I need you to answer these two questions briefly. One is from our former reporter in Lake State Media in Rumbek. It's called Maborodeo. Is asking that Lake State, please ask this question. Comrade Ateny, you are a founder of Beating Drum of Truth before you were appointed as press secretary. Now, as your relief from your position, are you going to resume your work as a journalist, or you will remain as a politician? And the second question attached to it is President appointed a John Marang as deputy press secretary in the office of the president. So are you happy with the appointment, or you are very doubtful? So I think about Joe, you have talked about it several times, and that question of the journalism is the question that you need to answer. And second question from Alicia David is asking question to Honorable Ateny. Is it true that Honorable Ateny does not like correction? It is said that Mr. Ateny, Garang John, Mal Makir, and other competent journalists for always trying to correct him. Could Mr. Ateny explain this?
That's a very good question. First, let me tell my brother Mabior from Lake State Media that I am not going to come back to beating the drum of truth any soon, simply because I have a set up media already. I have equipments that will let me publish the newspaper even tomorrow, but I will not do it simply because when I was writing back to 2013 and downwards before my appointment, I was making commentary about things that I assumed to be what they were. But now I am equipped with classified information. If I go and write a commentary, the commentary will take me to release a classified information without knowing. I am very careful, and I cannot do that. the government will think as to what I should be doing in future, because I cannot go back to writing. That's one. Number two, I am happy about a Joe appointment, simply because this is a young man to whom I trained myself into the job and became very, very excellent. Joe is an excellent writer, and you can have a little to correct Joe. So, being appointed, what angered me yesterday, it was referring to Joe as continuation of Ateny Wek. Joe might have by me and might have been, and might have been an admirer of my style of leadership. Should he adopt that, then it is not continuation of Ateny Wek. I am also an admirer of how Salva Kiir does things, particularly on issue of making decisions, because he thinks carefully before he makes decisions. I used not to do that, but I am now actually an admirer of Salva Kiir. Should anything comes to me in future, okay, even after President Salva Kiir leaving power, if I become president, then people say it's a continuation of Salva Kiir. Why continuation of Joe be? Why appointment of Joe would be continuation of Ateny Wek? But I do approve and accept the appointment of Joe, because he's a right man in the right place. The third part from Alicia, the questions of Alicia, that I have sacked Garang John and I've sacked Mal Maker, and who else? Okay. There were three.
There were three, yes.
Yes, let me bring it up here. Garang John, Mal Maker, and other competent journalists.
I always trying to correct him. First of all, I am not going to discuss administrative issues that led to each of them leaving the job. First of all, let me correct one thing. Garang John has never worked in the office of the president. Garang John was an SSBC news anchor, and he was very much willing to join the office of the president. Okay, the only problems is that I did not accept him. So, and you cannot ask me why I didn't accept him. In the West, you do interviews and you are told, sorry, you didn't get appointment this time. Try next time. They will not tell you the reason. Okay, because some reasons, can hunt you into your next job if they are disclosed. So Garang John is a young man who is aspiring to become anything in this country. I am not going to talk about why he was not admitted into the office of the president. He was not admitted. I will not say the reason. Mal Makertiong,
the network is coming back now, because we are hitting to 2 hours. And I got one person in the clubhouse. While Peter Moranyar get ready, if the network restore, you will be the final person to ask your question. I think the unit that they put in the device has finished, so that's why it has stuck, and it's really getting late there for our journalists who are reporting down from Juba. So we thank you all audience, and I'm sorry for those in the clubhouse that you couldn't make it due to the interruption of the network again. So I apologize for that. Wal Moranyar, next time you will ask the question. We have our journalist Thomas Macro and Kedit Alawe. They are using border borders, and they are the people who are doing this interview. Streaming. Yeah, they are the people who connect us with the Honorable Ateny Wek. So we will leave this show here. We thank all our viewers. We'll give it to our brother Bolmakur to give his last remarks, and then we will close the show. Thank you, Bol.
Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate. I am also giving thanks to our audience who came along to come and share these stories with us. And also, I thank Molana Ateny Wek for reaching out to Lake State Media and tell us more about what's happening and how we feel about his living. Also, we have a team of Lake State Media in Juba. If you want to contact Lake State Media, you will contact Lake State Media team in Juba. If you want to say anything, Lake State Media team will walk to you in your office and we will conduct some interviews, or you will come to our office and we will help you to voice your voice or tell your concern to the citizen of South Sudan. Thank you so much. This is Bolmakur of Lake State Media. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our viewers who has been with us in these last 2 hours. We appreciate your presence, and we thank those who raised their questions. And thanking our journalists down there in Juba as well. We will end up this show here. We will catch up again with other show coming up regarding the dredging of River Nile. That show will come up in a few hours to come. Have a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are tuning in. May God bless you all. May God bless South Sudan. Thank you. Have a good night.
It's your boy Young Love, I give him that time. Pancho leg stand and punchy America. Banyi ban pancho leg stand and punchy America. Banyi ban walk on your leg, kankara water no watching. Koga leg gear, pow, leg. Panda with ya, punchy America. Banyi ban chingatonga pandon kujura by a check out. Papu panda jiro with ya be venting. Stand and punchy America, Banyi Dwal, Pancha leg stand and punchy America, Banyi Dwal, Ban walk on your leg, Kankara water no watching, Oga leg gear, pow, leg, Panda with ya, punchy America, Panya Dwalavan, Chingatonga Pandon, Kujura by a check out, Paku Panda Giro, what ya be, Dwalaventing.